Hello guys, it's Bridge1 here and I want to show you my Rus guide. Let's just get into it, because my guide is quite long, I think. First of all, I'm talking about land maps and I'm talking about 1 versus 1. I will talk about water maps at the end of this guide, but it's going to be a short discussion. So I also assuming that players in my guide, like for purposes of my guide, that players keep producing villagers. They try to react to opponent's action, so if your opponent is playing knights, you try to make spearmen or crossbowmen or to protect yourself from raids, things like this. But even if you make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, it's still okay for you. I think you still will find this guide useful, because I'm talking about strategies, I'm talking about tactics, and you need understanding of these things to play the game at a good level. So I think it's still going to be interesting for you. And this guide is dated 7th of July. Of course, we will have a new patch soon, and the meta will probably change, but I assume that most of the things will stay the same. Okay, so why would you play Rus? I think personally it's a very interesting civ, and it's very comfortable to play right now. First of all, it has a strong opening. You get 3 scouts, so you force your opponent to play 2 scouts, which means your opponent is going to lose 1 villager, because he has to produce scout instead of villager, right? You also get bounty, which is essentially free gold. This means that you can get to next stage without having to mine any gold, and also you cannot be tower rushed on gold. You get Kremlin, which is a strong defensive landmark. It also gives you a wood collection bonus, also very handy to have, and you can produce knights in H2. So you have harassing capabilities. It means you can harass your opponent, you can raid gold, you can raid wood, you can counter maybe opponent's Burgrave rush, right? If your enemy actually goes H3 and makes a lot of man-at-arms. So anyway, you also have a good eco bonuses, which are bonus from your bounty. It is a bonus for food collection. It is extra wood bonus from your Kremlin or from your wood fortresses. It's 20% extra wood, not just speed of collection, but it's just extra food collected, which is just great. And you get extra gold from hunting cabins and from your high trade house. Your landmarks are also very useful. I'll talk about them, let's just talk about them right now. Kremlin is very good for feudal age. Kremlin defends you from raids and gives you wood collection bonus. Golden Gate is good because it gives your economy some flexibility. You also have high trade house, which just boosts your economy. You have Abbey of Trinity, that allows you to grab relics really quickly, and you have high armory for siege discount, and you have Spasskaya Tower just for protection and for stone walls. So your landmarks, all of them are pretty good. You also have very powerful H4, you have civs, which are more powerful hand cannoneers. Also you can produce them with 25% discount. Just amazing. And these economic bonuses, extra wood and extra gold, actually these are passive resource generation, which means that if you have a fixed amount of trees, if you're playing for example HRE, you're just going to chop through them 40 or 50% faster, but if you're playing Rus, you're going to get 20% more wood from this fixed amount of trees. So essentially you're going to run out of wood much slower, which is very great in late game. You also have strong cavalry, which might be important in Imperial. You can play mass horseman imp, mass knights if you have a lot of gold. You can also play horse archers if you're out of gold and you need some decent unit. So bottom line is you feel pretty comfortable against any civilization because of these diverse bonuses, and you feel comfortable at any stage of the game. Except maybe H3, but it's just my opinion. Okay, so let's outline our usual game plan. This is our usual strategy. We play our opening, we go to town centers with maybe some knights aggression. We go H3 trying to grab relics and produce units, to harass, to attack, to raid. And then in H3 you fight for resources, you attack or you go H4 very quickly. And once you're H4, you just make civs, make some spearmen, man-at-arms or horsemen, depending on situation. You make siege, you make palisades, so this is what the usual game of Rus looks like to me. So let's continue by reviewing some Rus games. if you don't want to look at this part, you can just skip 40 more minutes forward, because it's about 40 minutes long. I give some commentary on my games. All of these 3 games, my opponents made some mistakes, so I'm just showing you how do I exploit these mistakes in these games. And I'm showing you different scenarios, different things you might have to do with Rus. It's not exhaustive lists, but it just gives you some perspective. So let's cut to this game analysis. Alright, I'm just going to play this recording on Twitch, because recording inside the game doesn't always work. So I will skip over some parts of the game, but I will pause on the key moments. So about the opening. In the opening you send 3 of your villagers on your ship, and you get 3 of your villagers to make a hunting cabin. You always want to make it adjacent to some woodline. So in this example my woodline is really close, it is good for me. I also get 1 of my villagers from ship to make a house. Yeah, you can see here, let me just show it again. I also sent 1 of my ship to this hunting cabin, because hunting cabin is essentially a mill, and these 3 villagers, they can start collecting this ship right after they have finished their hunting cabin. Okay, so I'm using my first scout to find a deer pack as soon as possible. My town center keeps producing villagers, and this scout is just going to find a deer pack. I usually don't like to go too aggressive with the scout, I just like to find deer pack closest to me. Okay, so this villager has finished a house and he's going to collect sheep. All new villagers are going onto ship, and this hunting cabin, it starts producing scouts. I need a total of 3 scouts, so I'm producing 2 scouts from my hunting cabin. I also need to be careful to produce villagers at all times. Okay, so not much is happening right now. Maybe we can skip this part. Okay, so I'm also using different control groups. Okay, we are just ignoring wolves for the moment, because getting deer is more important. But we will get back to these wolves later, if they're still alive. Yeah, so we have found a deer pack. I'm using shift attack to kill all of them. If you want to optimize, you can click them manually. Right, so we have 3 scouts, and we also have 10 villagers on foot. After you have 10 villagers on foot, you want to queue your new villagers onto wood. You want to go for straggler trees. Straggler trees are trees that are near town center. There should be about 3 of them. Yes, so also a thing to remember is that because I have 10 villagers on sheep, I will need to bring new sheep to my town center in a short time. Right, so this is already good for me because I have 2 deer packs. I have found a second deer pack. Also we want to get a wheelbarrow, if we have enough gold for aging up. Usually it is about 200 or maybe 215 gold. If you have this much gold, then you can get wheelbarrow. And here I have found a 3rd wood pack, deer pack, because my opponent have decided to scout more aggressively. So this is already very good for me. Yeah, so about now I should be getting a wheelbarrow. If you want to optimize, you can get your wheelbarrow a little bit earlier, right? Yeah, let's just skip over this part. This is just default scout micro. I'm trying to get deer, I'm trying to get wolves, and you should always scout. You should always use your scouts to find as much bounty as possible. Yes, so right now I have enough resources for aging up, and I'm looking to place a Kremlin, because in game against Japanese, your usual game plan is to place a secure town center. So here, as you can see, I have a secure deer pack. If I place Kremlin right here, then I can, so right about here, I can place a town center and he will not be able to raid it or attack it. So I'm aging up with 5 guys. Usually you want 4 or 5 villagers to age up. You need only 5 or 4 villagers on foot, usually 4. And you continue to collect your straggler tree until it is out. Once it is out, you have enough wood for lumber camp, for mining camp on stone. Yeah, so right now I have 4 guys on foot. I keep collecting this tree until it is... yeah, it's already been finished. So I sent about 5 or 6 of these guys on stone, this will be enough to finish mining stone before he goes H2, before he can do something, like harass me with horsemen, for example. I'm getting quite a lot of bounty, 285 is very good. I'm not forgetting to drop any ship, and right now, because I have scouted almost the whole map, I just want my scouts to see what the opponent is doing. Yeah, I see he's collecting a lot of wood. Yeah, I also need to make another house when I'm nearing 20 population. I'm sending all of my new guys on wood, by the way, because I'm going to place a second town center. Let's skip over this part. Yeah, so they have finished Kremlin and they're going on wood. So I'm placing a lumber mill. Right now, yeah, let's just show it one more time. As you know, my Kremlin gives me, you see, this golden aura. Let me just show it. So if I place a town center or a lumber mill inside this aura, then this lumber mill will give me about exactly 20% more wood, and this is a very strong bonus. You always want to use this. If you place Kremlin in a way that it is not near any wood line, you can simply make a wooden fortress. It is quite expensive, but it is still worth it. Yeah, so here I'm using 2 of my scouts to kill this wolf. I'm also harassing his mining camp with my scout. You can use your scouts to harass enemy towers, enemy mining camps, just enemy buildings. Yeah, so we can see that he has 2 scouts, and because he has 2 scouts, he has 1 less villager. It is also a good advantage that you force your opponent to make 2 scouts, to make one extra scout. Yeah, so I have 350 stone. You always want to get exactly 350 stone. 350 stone, yeah. Because this is the amount you need for a town center. So right now I'm sending all my guys except 4 on foot. I sent all of them on wood. Yes, and about 5:30, maybe 5:20, you can drop off your wood, because you have enough wood for a town center. Yes, I'm placing a town center near this deer pack. I know that my opponent is playing Japanese, so he's probably not going to attack me in feudal age, so I can relax just a bit. My Kremlin is still in a good position, it protects my front, and it will be difficult for opponent to get to second town center. I also have a protected gold. Yeah, so right now I'm just going to go h3, but here I spot something interesting. I spot my opponent sending his villagers to this boar, right? So he's probably going to get a second town center. I have also scouted before that he have collected some stone, because you can see there is a mining camp on stone. I used my scout to harass it, which means one of 2 things. So either my Japanese opponent is going to upgrade his town center and make some, I forgot what it's called, mounted samurai. Yeah, so he can make mounted samurai or maybe horseman plus mounted samurai to try to prevent me from making a second town center, so I should be careful about this. But now I see that he's simply going to make second town center, so this changes my game plan. Right now I don't want to go castle age right away. I could if I wanted to, but I want to utilize this because I see that his position is pretty weak. I'm going to produce some knights and deal some damage to him. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, so he's trying to snipe my scouts. He understands now that he will not be able to place town center on his boar, so he is going to place it on his deer pack. Yeah, I'm just using my scout to harass it for a bit. So when he decides to drop off his resources, he will waste some wood trying to repair it. Yeah, I'm sending 4 villagers on gold to produce knights and to get upgrades and to get to next stage. But right now I will send some more of these guys on gold to produce more knights. I'm trying to pull my boar to harass his villagers, right, because it can attack closest unit. But it was not successful. Yeah, I'm doing some villager micro, essentially to keep producing villagers from both town centers. So a little bit about my micro. This main town center right now is queuing villagers, I believe, either on ship or on gold. This is what you want to do if you're making knights or if you're going fast castle. You want to leave some static amount of villagers on wood, like 4 or 5 or 6, and you want to send the rest on your food or on your gold. Second town center for a moment is rallying on deer. But I will need to be careful about this second town center, because they will be out of food very soon. They'll need to find a new deer pack. So luckily this spawn is very good for me, because I can wall like this and have a secure deer pack. We'll see it later. Yes, so I'm building a second stable, because I want to produce a great amount of knights. Let's just skip a little bit. Yeah, I see he has an unprotected gold. Usually he needs to place a tower on gold, or make some spearmen. So I see he collected this boar. He's not going to mine it. I mean, he killed it and he wants to collect it right now, right? So I'm making a lot of knights. Just fighting with my scouts, I'm just skipping over some parts. Okay, so I have produced a knight, and I send it straight for his second town center. I see it is a very weak position. So this is clearly a misplay by my opponent. Normally you want to make palisades, you want to make towers, or at least some spearmen to protect this. Yes, now I'm able to deal heavy damage to him, not only killing villagers, but also it's very big idle time. I also see his gold isn't protected, because he probably wants to get to Castle Age and start producing a lot of knights, or maybe on a Musha. Yeah, just keep harassing him. He cannot harass me because of Kremlin, of course, my gold is protected. Making even more knights. He tries to build some palisades right now, but it's a little bit too late. So in this position I don't have protection from arrows, but I still can go under town center, second town center, because it's causing a lot of idle time and also villager kills. Here he has a spearman, but one spearman is not enough to stop knights. Just villager kills. Usually you want to shift click individual villagers, so knights can maximize their damage. I mean, amount of killed villagers is maximized. You want to be careful to not lose your knights without any need. Yeah, I also see that my deer pack is out completely, so I'm sending my villagers to this second deer pack. My boar is kind of far away, so for the moment I don't want to touch it. Yeah, some of idle time, it's not very good, so I'm using manual drop off to get wood for hunting cabin. I'm sending more knights, and right now I'm stockpiling some resources to go age up, because I can grab some relics and I can upgrade my knights. Maybe even go horse archers. But at this point I believe I have inflicted enough damage, so I have secured a massive advantage. Let's just skip over this part, because it's more of the same. Yeah, I'm making... let's focus on this. I'm making high trade house. You want to place it near a wood line. So here you can see it gives you about 150 gold per minute, which is a good value for high trade house. It will also provide free deer about every minute or so. So you can leave 5 or 6 villagers to collect this deer. It is like 5 or 6 free farms. I'm building with about 10 villagers, then I'm going to send some more, I believe. Oh no, or maybe just 10. Usually you want to age up with 10, maybe with 15 if you want to go faster. But about 10, at least 10, yes. I haven't gotten any economic upgrades aside from wood upgrade yet. Or maybe I didn't even get wood upgrade. So about eco upgrades, just to briefly mention, sometimes you don't want to get wood upgrade, because I only have 5 guys on wood. So I don't believe it would have paid for itself at this point. But when you go H3, you will usually have some free resources, so if you want to spend it, you can go upgrades. With Rus you can make more knights, but usually with other civilizations maybe you want to go eco upgrades while you're aging up, or after you age up. Yeah, so I want to extend my wood line, because this wood line is almost out. I want to extend my aura. I just want to connect it through my town center. Yeah, let's skip over this part. Now I'm just keeping my knights secure, and I'm getting eco upgrades, and I'm getting arrow protection. So right now I'm upgrading my knights, and I'm going to make a monastery. I'm using monastery to grab all relics, it's very important. I'm sending more guys on wood. I'm going onto berries, because right now I need more food. I don't have enough food to go to farms. I still have some sheep though. Yeah, I made a mistake here, I didn't send 6 guys on this deer. You should always send guys on this deer, because it is very efficient collection. Yeah, right now I send them. I'm still trying to find some damage, but you can see he has a lot of spearmen. So when you see a situation like this, your opponent has some spearmen and you still have knights, you kind of want to make more knights to raid even more, right? But maybe you shouldn't. Because you have two options, you can go archers to counter the spearmen, but then you are locked into archer plus knight composition. It's not always optimal. Maybe you at this point you just want to go fast imperial, or you want to go some man-at-arms plus something else. So don't feel like you're obliged to play knights. Okay, I'm making even more monks, because right now 5 relics are on the map. My opponent is still H2 because of this big damage, so I'm pretty far ahead. Right now I just need to consolidate my position. I don't want to lose my knights in a stupid way, I don't want to let him get any damage. Let's just keep over. Yeah, I'm trying just to annoy him a little bit. And even before I picked up all the relics, I can go H4. I can go H4, here I'm not afraid of him, so I'm going high armory. I am making second monastery for relics, and you'll just see what happens. Let's skip. Going to grab the last relic. Yeah, with knights you can also, or maybe with horse archers, you can also kill enemy monks that are trying to get relics, or just sacred sites. I'm also detecting that I'm almost out of this food, out of berries. I could go to boar, but honestly it's just too much hassle for me. So I decided to wall up, I decided to make some farms. Yeah, some wood collection of course, and some farms. I'm seeing he's making Onamusha, so I don't want to go any more knights, because he's playing a very anti-knight composition. Let's just show it one more time. He's playing Onamusha and he's playing some spearmen. So if I go knights, they are like doubly countered. Instead, I'm making Streltsy. I made some archery ranges. Right now, I simply need to survive just for a while, make Streltsy, make some siege and push him. I'm getting this upgrade for relics. If you have a lot of relics, you should get it. Let's skip. Skip. Yeah, he's trying to push me, but if you're afraid of pushes like this, for example, if he had much more units, I could just place Spasskaya Tower here, so this segment is even more protected. And my quality is somewhat bad, let's try to fix it. Oh, it's source actually. Yes, right now I'm simply making Streltsy, I'm making more farms. I know I'm far ahead. Yeah, I'm also calling militia. I didn't need to use militia in this game because I was pretty far ahead. Let's just skip to what happens next. I'm pushing him. Yeah, he's trying to harass me right now. So what I'm doing is I'm making a double wall. When a situation is like this, he's trying to break a wall, you can make a second layer, and we'll talk about this later, but right now it will be difficult for him to pass. But you also want to send some units here. I'm sending my knights to counter this raid. Let's skip. I'm making more farms. I'm making a bombard. And right now I know I'm economically ahead, so I'm collecting Streltsy, I'm getting bombard, I'm playing it kind of lazily, but I know he will not stop me. Let's skip, skip. I'm getting this upgrade from High Armory. It buffs your bombards for 33%, I believe, or maybe for 40%. Anyway, it's very good. You also want to get your gunpowder upgrade, chemistry from university. It will also buff your stealthy and buff your bombards. Just going forward, just starting to break his town center. He cannot really push me. I'm having 2 bombards. Just standing here. He's trying to attack me here, but I have too much and it's over. Alright, let us look at game 2. It is against Byzantines and it is on Cliffside. I'm going to skip over the start because we already discussed it. Let's skip right to minute 4 maybe, yes? So here I'm detecting I have, yeah, let's just discuss this. Here I see that I have a safe deer pack. It is right here, behind my base. I also have a gold here and my wood line is also quite secure. So I'm placing my Kremlin at this spot. It will protect my gold, it will protect my deer pack. I don't think I would have made second town center if it wasn't this protected. Maybe I would have played one town center and simply tried to push my Byzantine opponent. Because if you look at this minimap, you can see his berries are forward. We will see this in the game later. It will become a factor, but if you see that your opponent has forward berries like this, and he's playing Byzantines, usually you want to just push him. Yeah, I'm collecting some stone. I'm just keeping over. Yes, so right now I see he's doing something strange. He is about to construct a second town center. He have collected some stone, I have scouted it before. He's wasting a lot of time. So when you see him wasting so much time, and when you see that he's making town center at this spot, which is very susceptible to damage, you just want to be attacking him. Usually Byzantines will play one town center, and Byzantines will try to go aggression against you, or they'll be trying to go fast castle and aggression, but if they're playing 2 town centers, usually you just want to attack them. I'm just skipping over this. Starting to collect some gold, and here I'm trying to tower rush him. Because if I can tower rush maybe here, I can deny his berries and he will have food problems. He will need to make farms. For Byzantines it is not that bad, but it's still not good. So this tower will buy me some idle time from him, because he will need to break it. He already has limit on eye, so here I should have just abandoned this maybe never tried to build this. But I'm also baiting out some idle time from him. Yeah, let's skip over this. I'm calling my militia. I'm also producing some knights to harass him. I'm producing archer ranges. So I'll be trying to push him with knight plus archer range, plus archer. Yeah, let's just skip. I'm adding more production, so in total I will have 2 archer ranges at 2 stables. So I'm circling behind his base, so I can raid his gold, I can raid his wood. I want to make a lot of archers to damage his limit on eye. So Byzantines, their weakness in feudal age is that they do not have a good counter to archers. They have mercenaries like longbows and javelin throwers, but they have only a limited amount of them. Yeah, I'm getting some raid damage. I see he's mining a lot of deer, so I'm going to bring a lot of my units and try to push him. I'm just going back. You don't want to be losing any fights against Byzantines, because once you lost a fight, it's pretty much over. I'm trying to go to his wood line. Even if I don't kill anyone, I still cause some idle time. I'm also getting blacksmith upgrades. This upgrade for stronger archers is very important against limit on eye. Right now I'm trying to snipe some villagers. This is a misplay from him, he shouldn't have gone here. Or maybe he should have made a tower or 2 towers. Yeah, I'm just making rams, trying to raid him. Let's skip. I need to go to berries because you can see that this food spawn is kind of unfortunate for me. I already finished my deer pack, but my boar and my deer are quite exposed. Eventually I'll get to them, but for now I just want to keep up the pressure and I want to get these berries. Also kill one villager, yeah. So right now I hid my archers inside this ram, so I can snipe Limit an Eye. And he's going a lot of Limit an Eye. I believe he should have played more archers. But in a situation like this, you feel pretty comfortable as Rus, because you can keep making knights, you can keep making archers. If you go h3, you will still have a strong composition. A bit of misplay from me, I lost 2 of my knights, I think. Anyway, they're at low HP. Yeah, I got to this deer, I'm making a tower here. So I just want to show it. This tower, it will not help all of my villagers to get inside, so I could either make a second tower, I could make a palisade like this, or I can simply leave it like this. So this tower will provide me vision. If I see him going for these villagers, I will hide 8 villagers inside and 8 villagers just run away. Build a palisade somewhere, right? Try to hide. It will give me information. Yeah, so right now I feel pretty good. I will try to push him at this point. Also at the same time, you want to try to raid him with your knights. And you want to try to do it at the same time, because when you're doing 2 or 3 attacks at the same time, it's very difficult to stop. Yeah, so he is a bit distracted, so I was able to kill this villager. At this point, maybe at the second ram, try to push this town center. I'm adding some early farms, which is because I will not have enough food very soon. Going here. Let's skip a little bit. Trying to raid, trying to push. I see him having some javelin throwers, but it is not enough to stop me. I can keep shooting at this Limit an Eye because these traits are far better for me. Now I can see him not having any Limit an Eye. Yeah, so I lost a villager. Let me just show it again. I lost a villager over here, so usually you want to try to save all your villagers when fighting boar. You just select villagers that is being hit and you lead him a little back. But here I was attacking him at the same time, so I just wasn't able to save him. I'm using my knights to dive under his town center, I'm using my archers to shoot javelin throwers, it's still okay, they still die to archers in H2. And at this point it's pretty much over, because I'm going to break this town center, I killed a lot of villagers, I'm going to deny his farms. Yeah, so he surrenders. Let's get to game number 3. Yeah, this is game on Cliffside against Malians, so it's Cliffside again, but different civilization. And in this case, I just need to show it on minimap. I have very unfortunate food spawns. You can see that both of my deer packs are located outside of my base. There is no good way to wall them. Maybe you could have placed a Kremlin right here and somehow start collecting this deer pack, but I decided just not to risk it, because even if you do this, your gold is going to be exposed, your wood is going to be exposed. It's not very good, right? So here I decide to play very defensively, and I still go for 2 town centers, but now I'm going just to sit in my base essentially. Let's see how it goes. I'm placing my town center near my gold and near my wood. It might seem bad, but I'm doing something unusual in this game. I'm going to make early farms. So I have collected a good amount of sheep, and because I have 20% bonus wood collection, I can afford to make some cheap farms. Cheap meaning that if you have more wood, essentially it's more efficient for you to collect wood and it's more efficient to go farms, right? Okay, so I'm skipping over a little bit. He's playing Malians. I see him playing this landmark, which is more defensive landmark. It is not... what's it called? Mensa Quarry, right? Mensa Quarry gives you 75 gold per minute, so it's about 2 villagers. I see this, I understand that I can afford essentially to play like this, and I should not make any knights, because if I make knights, what I'm going to do with them? I cannot attack this gold mine, I scarcely can attack this gold mine, and I cannot attack his wood obviously, or his cows, because they're under town center. So I'm just going to play this more greedily. Yeah, I'm mining gold with 11, that's... you should not do this, of course. So this position, I feel pretty good about it right now. He cannot attack me as well. Let's just skip a little bit. Yeah, I'm starting to add more farms, because I'm starting to run out of sheep. And here I'm placing palisades. I see he doesn't have warrior scouts, he doesn't have sofas, so it is safe for me to place palisades like this. So anyway, the idea for me is I'm going h3, I'm going early farms, and this region is going to be protected for me. I will have 3 little gold mines over there, I will have some wood, and I will even have 1 relic, and I will have a berry patch, and a sacred site. So that there is no good or quick way to finish the game for him. He will have to play a long game. Usually that's what you want to achieve versus Malians. Now I see him adding stables, so I understand it's going to be a sofa rush, most likely. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm going to place barracks. 2 sets of barracks, because I know he's playing Malians, so he's going to make a lot of sofas. And I'm going to get to h3 as well. Yeah, I'm just making more defensive palisades. This little wall that I just started to make is very important, because it will help me to protect this region. You see, I will do something interesting with my palisades right now. I'll try to create a secure zone. And I'll start making more farms inside. Right now I have about 10 farms, but I'm placing high trade house inside. It can also be used as a food drop-off point. Let's skip. Yeah, I broke this lumber mill because I want to add even another palisade layer. So it's going to be difficult for him to get through. It seems kind of bad, let me show, because my main town center is outside of this palisade. But actually it's okay, because villagers here can get inside and have no problems. Yeah, I'm seeing he's trying to encircle me with sofas, but there is nothing for him to attack. And I'm making more spearmen. In general, spearmen are a good choice against Malians, because, you know, at some point they're going to make sofas. Just in case I decide to add more palisades, because if 20 sofas run over here, a Kremlin will not be able to take care of them. So at this point you should be very careful, you should not lose any spearmen unnecessarily. I cannot afford to get relics at this time, because it's very dangerous. My opponent for some reason is also not getting relics. Yeah, let's see, I just make more spearmen, I'm making monastery, now that I see that it's okay, that I have farms, I have a lot of food. I tried even to poke him a little bit. And I start making some archery ranges, because I will need archers or crossbowmen at some point. My villagers are out of food, so I decide to send them to wood. I can make even more farms. Yeah, let's see what happens next. He starts to make some archers, and my best option to counter archers at this point would be to make some towns, plus to make mangonels. But you cannot fight Sofa plus archers in an open field. You want to step under your Kremlin, under your palisades, your town center, so these structures can kill archers. He's trying to inflict some damage. He probably should make a lot of more archers and some siege. I'm trying just to fight him because he doesn't have enough archers, and I can, even if I lose all my spearmen, it's still efficient trade for me. Because at this point I believe my economy is almost the same as Malians, and at this point it will get even stronger, because I have 2 town centers. I'm starting to make mangonel. Maybe actually this was a mistake, because I lost all my spearmen, but I still have militia, I still have this palisade, so even if he kills my army, it's going to be difficult to push right now for him. Yes, so I just hide inside, he gets a villager kill. I'm starting to make crossbowmen, plus spearmen. You should also try to micro your town center to shoot archers. I believe I don't do it here, but it's just a mistake. Yeah, and I have mangonel. I'm losing some units, but I'm also going to shoot with my mangonel. Yeah, I'm killing some archers. So at this point, let's just skip over some parts, because I'm just adding more farms. I collect more relics, my opponent doesn't collect any relics. He's trying to attack me through this side, but it is walled. I place another wall. I pull my military to this side to stop him. So because I have mangonels here, it's going to be hard for him to push through. I should also capture the sacred site. I'm placing more aggressive palisades, so I have this wood supply. On Cliffside it's very important to get yourself some safe wood lines, because wood lines can get pretty scarce on this map. So it's probably a bit of a mistake for me, because he's running in and my villagers are unsecure here. Let's just skip. He kills some of my villagers. Yeah, this is a big fight. Our army size is about equal. I pull all of my militia. 18 of them is very good. My mangonels do a very bad job here. They should have shot archers. I just lose them, but on the other hand it allows me to kill his sofas. So mangonels also work as a bait, right? My micro could have been better here. He has Musafadi, but I have... No, he doesn't have Musafadi actually, I just have man-at-arms. Man-at-arms are a good option against archers and javelin throwers. Yeah, so at this point I won a fight, I have a relic advantage, I have villager advantage, so I'm just going to push him. I could go Imperial maybe, but right now it's better for me to push, because I can kill his cow ranches. Going to new wood line. Skip, skip, skip. Yeah, I'm building a new layer of palisades, so he cannot raid me. Maybe I shouldn't pull all my army to this sofa raid. Yes, I'm just going to push him. For some reason decided to step back. And it's just very good for me at this point. Yeah, and it's over. Okay, so now I want to talk about tactics. And I want to make this distinction just real quickly. Strategy versus tactics. So when we talk about strategy, we're talking about general game plan. It's your general plan for winning a certain game. For example, in last game that I showed you, versus Malians. Strategy of my opponent was to simply go h3, castle h, and all in. Just ignore relics, ignore everything, just try to destroy your opponent. It's not necessarily a good strategy, but it is a strategy, right? Because it is a plan for finishing, for winning the game. I think that the only strategy you usually play as Rus is just slowly accumulating advantage over the ages. So in h2 maybe you can get some damage with knights, or maybe you can get some damage with feudal aggression. In h3 you can get relics and you can raid your opponent. In h4 you can simply go Streltsy, you can make palisades, you can control a lot of the map, a lot of resources. So this way you're just better than your opponent at all stages. In h4 you can just overwhelm. At least that's my usual strategy. I'm not going to talk too much about strategy, because I think actually that this game, Age of Empires, at high level, it is all about tactics, right? Because you know usual strategies. You know what strategy you want to play. When you're playing English, you want to play king, 2 town centers and economic development, then aggression. So when you play Rus, you want to play 2 town centers, you want to play fast castle, and then simply expanding your advantage. So this game, I think, is about tactics. It's actually not real-time strategy, it's real-time tactics. Tactics is a specific set of actions you take depending on the situation. So for example, if you're playing against English and they play English king, your reaction might be to make spears, to counter English king. Again, it's not always the best tactic, but it is a tactic. Another tactics might be I'm going to make towers, or I'm going to make palisades, or I'm going to make knights against English king. These are all tactics. And Rus has quite a lot of tactics, so if you want to get good at playing Rus, you need to know a lot of tactics. I'm just going to show what some common tactics are for each civilization. So these are a list of these tactics. I'm assuming that you know or you have seen most of them. For example, capturing gold, wood or stone with keeps, towers or walls. It looks like, for example, you drop a keep on big gold mine, you start mining it, right? And you build a wall to isolate your part of the map, you make a tower on enemy wood, for example, so he cannot collect wood, something like this. Or you know how to raid with horsemen, attempts in h3, in h4. These are all common tactics, most civilizations use them, right? Of course, there are many more tactics. You get better in this game, as I said, by just learning more tactics, understanding how and when to use them. I'm just going to talk about tactics that I usually use as Rus. Okay, let's start with first tactic, which is 1 town center. So it is straightforward to use. You simply don't play 2 town centers and maybe you play Golden Gate. You usually want to play it if you really want to get fast h3 for some reason. So maybe you're playing against HRE, you want to get relics quicker than them. I don't think you can do it in this patch with this tactic, but you at least can try, right? If you make a stable h2, you maybe try to harass him, then go Abbey of Trinity and get relics. Or maybe you want to be very aggressive when you're playing against Byzantines or against Malians. Because Byzantines and Malians, usually you can punish them in h2, and usually they are very scary, very strong to fight in h3. Yeah, so you can push, sometimes you can push, sometimes you want to play 1 town center, sometimes opponent has just a terrible spawn, like Gold Mine of Malians is on Cliffside and it is very close to the center of the map. Yeah, go for it, play 1 town center, nothing wrong with this. So it is countered by successful defense from your opponent, in which case it's usually game over, because you just never made 2nd town center, and your aggression was for nothing, or your fast castle was for nothing. So it's kind of risky, but sometimes this risk is just worth it. Sometimes it's the best play. Second tactic is feudal aggression. You can do it from 1 town center, from 2 town centers. Personally, I don't do it very often these days, but in some cases it's very strong. How to do it? You simply make stables, make archery ranges, you get blacksmith upgrades, make rams, try to push your opponent. Usually you do it when your opponent has multiple town centers and some of them are exposed, or when your opponent has very bad food situation. For example, he has no deer packs, he's playing China or French, and you can punish him for it, basically. Personally, I don't like to play it because you can counter this by going Castle Age, making a lot of knights, for example, or even Malians sometimes, or archers. You can also use your horsemen or knights to raid Rus' food collection, to raid Rus' economy, and if you're raiding Rus' economy, Rus has to invest into palisades or towers. It slows down your aggression, so I think it's very situational. Usually you just want to play fast castle. So another tactic is early knight raids. It is a very common one. Usually you want to play it with Rus. You just make a stable, you can make one knight, maybe two knights, and you want to try to attack unprotected sections of your opponent's base. For example, it's often gold, it's often wood, sometimes food. And you also want to stop enemy palisades from being built. Sometimes when your opponent doesn't have any vulnerable spots, for example, gold is protected, wood is protected, but you know that at some point your opponent will be out of food. Or at some point your opponent will decide to make palisades. You can just run around with your knights, you at the space, for example, when you think your opponent will make palisade. And when your opponent tries to make palisade, then surprise, your knight is right there, killing their villagers. It can be very strong. So you pretty much always want to do this, except for cases when your opponent is very protected. For example, when he already preventively made a lot of palisades, or just 10 spearmen, something like this. But usually it's always worth it to make at least one knight. You can counter this by going knights, or going spearmen, or going palisades, or making towers, but it's all value, so if you made one knight, you already have some value from it, because you force your opponent to react. Okay, so next tactic is deer or boar gathering, also very common one. You pretty much always want to go get some deer or some boar. You simply place tower of palisades if you need to place it, if it is dangerous spot, and you start gathering by placing hunting cabin. By the way, it's better to place hunting cabin near some trees, so it can also give you some passive wood generation. But in this example there are no trees nearby, so I have to place it like this. Yeah, you want to use it pretty much anytime you can, anytime deer or boar are not very far away from you, and it is safe. So I did some math. If you go on deer pack instead of staying on sheep or on berries, you get about 300 to 400 of free resources, so it is pretty good. It is like 2 free nights, right? Maybe 1.5 free nights. So how do you counter it? Your opponent can counter it, for example, remember when I told you about night raids? Your opponent can also make horsemen or knights or ghazi raiders, spahi, something like this. Just place them on your food sources I mean. And when your villagers come, if they are not unprotected, they will die, some of them will die. So it can be very bad. Or if your opponent is playing heavy feudal aggression, for example, one town center English, then your villagers are going to be in danger. Because of rams, because of longbows, so feudal pushes counter this pretty hard. Or Zhuginyu pushes, right? So tactic number 5 is the opposite tactic, it is early farms. So you just make Kremlin and wooden fortress, or wooden fortress, yes. You make some farms that are well protected. So in this example, you cannot see it, but there is a Kremlin here, so these farms are kind of well protected, it's difficult to attack them. Usually you want to do this only when your deer or boar are not available, so then you can either go to berries, or maybe you can just play some farms. I think sometimes placing early farms is better than going to berries, because berries are very slow collection for Rus, and there is a limited amount of berries, and you need to walk towards them, right? On the other hand, your wood collection is very good, and often it's better to just place some farms. You don't have to place 10 farms, just 5 or 8, yeah, maybe 15 if you have a lot of wood. Yeah, it depends on situation. How do you counter it? If you play against this, your opponent can simply age up, right? Because you invested all this wood into farms. Instead, your opponent could have invested resources into aging up, or playing greedily, like second town center. So if your opponent tries to attack you, maybe it's even good for you, because instead your opponent spent his resources trying to attack town center, trying to attack Kremlin or fortresses. But if you're playing greedily, if you're trying to collect relics or go fast castle, then I mean your opponent tries to do this, then farms, yeah, they're not very good, because they're slow you down. 75 wood per farm. Okay, next tactic is fast castle horse archers. Basically, you just go h3 and you make some archery ranges, maybe even one, you know, 2 archery ranges, sometimes maybe too many. And you make horse archers, and you also want to get blacksmith to get archery strength. I don't remember what it's called. Steeled arrow, I think. And you also want to get upgrade that gives your horse archers more HP. It's very strong. You can use it when your opponent cannot make much more units than you have horse archers. For example, when you're playing against Japanese, if Japanese is playing fast castle, 1 town center, then he will have so many knights that they will simply overwhelm your horse archers. They will just die and you will lose the game. But if your opponent is playing 2 town centers, for example 2 town center Japanese, 2 town center French, then go for it, just make a lot of horse archer, you will feel great against enemy knights, you can kill pretty much anything he will make, right? So I think personally it is a very strong unit, it's very underrated. You just need to carefully know in which situations you can use it. And you can use it when you can have more horse archers than your opponent has knights, for example. So how to counter it? It's countered by overwhelming army, and it's countered by static defenses. But again, it's kind of a late counter, right? Because if you made just 4 or maybe 6 or maybe 10 horse archers, and you force your opponent to make palisades, to make some towers, it's already good for you. You already have rally control, maybe you even manage to snipe some villagers, so great unit. You just need to know when to make it. Yeah, next tactic is Abbey of Trinity. It is unusual landmark for us, because usually we want to go House of Hunting. What's it called? High Trade House, yeah, of course. So, you can make Abbey and make monks. As you can see, they're really cheap in this building, only 120 resources instead of 240. You can use it if you want to get more relics. So I did some math again. If you can get at least 1 extra relic, it's already good for you. Because late game you can get relic upgrades, and relic will be better than having high trade house. But usually you want to go high trade house, so you go this landmark only when you know that it will help you. It will actually help you. For example, there are situations when you're completely dominating the map, you will get 4 relics or even 5 relics, whatever happens, so you do not need it. Or you know, for example, that your opponent is dominating the map, and you're locked inside your base, and you can only get 1 relic that is inside your base. There is no sense playing this, right? Because it will change nothing. But if you're playing against HRE or OOTD and there is race for relics, then of course you can get it. It's okay, it's not a bad choice. So how to counter it? You counter it if you can protect at least 2 relics. So if your opponent, for example, blocked 2 relics with palisades or just placed a lot of spearmen on these relics, usually it will not help you to get more relics, right? So it's kind of a risky play. It's very situational. Next is Fast Imperial, and I love this one. I think that Rus has kind of a weak H3, because you don't have anything unique H3 except for horse archers. Your man-at-arms are just usual, your crossbows are just usual, and your best bonuses are in H4. So usually you can go about it like this. You can make some palisades, you can make some maybe towers, maybe even a keep, right? Some units, and distract your opponent with raids. If you went horse archers or knights, you can usually try to raid him. And you just go Imperial and make Streltsy. You will have some archery ranges, of course, but once you have archery ranges, once you're Imperial, maybe even with Pascal Tower to protect yourself. In this example, yeah, 2 gold mines, it's a very good position. And you just make Streltsy, maybe Mangonel, you can beat pretty much any composition opponent has. Yeah, so you want to use this if you know your opponent will not be able to punish you. For example, your opponent is playing Abbasid and he went Gulams plus Crossbowmen, which is a slow composition, these units are kinda slow, and you're going to make Streltsy. Streltsy are going to counter both of these units, Spasskaya Tower or your static defenses will protect you, you will not get punished and your composition will already be better. How to counter it? Opponent can counter it if he successfully manages to raid you or push you. So if, for example, you do this and you get raided by 10 knights or by 30 men at arms, it's going to be very terrible for you, right? Because you'll lose a lot of economy and it will not be worth it. Or if he pushes you with 3 trebuchets and breaks your Spaskaya. But usually you can do this, unless you're very far behind, unless your opponent just crazily going for it, you can do this and it's going to be fine, right? Obviously it depends on the game. Maybe 15 or 16 minutes fast Imperial can be too quick, but 20 minutes, 25 minutes, it's okay, it's good. Okay, so next tactic, I'm using the same picture, it's Spaskaya. I just want to discuss where would you want to go, when would you want to go Spaskaya instead of, what's it called, instead of High Armory. How to do it: you just place Spaskaya on position you want to protect. Here it is this wood line, these 2 gold mines, production, so it's a very good position for Spaskaya. You want to use this when you need stone walls for some reason. For example, you're playing against Chinese and you know you will not be able to push them in h3, so you want to consolidate your position, you want to make some stone walls, so Fire Lancer are not as dangerous to you. Or maybe you're playing against Japanese and they are going to play mass on Abu Geisha, so you want to protect yourself from them as well. Maybe you just want to play fast Imperial and you want to survive. It's also an option. If you went with High Armory and your opponent was trying to push you, you will not be able to survive, because you will be just attacked and you will die. But if you play Spaskaya, you manage to make it. It has Spring Altar placement, it has cannon emplacement, it already, I believe, has olive oil upgrade. No, not olive oil, just usual oil. No, I think it doesn't have upgrade by default, but anyway, it has all upgrades, it has a lot of HP, it's pretty much impossible to break quickly. So, what is the counter for this? The counter for this is just playing mass siege. If your opponent is playing mass siege engines, of course you need Springles to counter it, right? And you need your own mangonels, your own bombards to push, because you're playing mass siege game. But if you're playing mass siege game, then stone walls are not as useful, and then you would rather have High Armory, because it would give you discount on your siege and it will give you unique technologies. So if you suspect that siege is going to be a deciding factor in your game, don't go with this, right? Or if you are not afraid of Fire Lancers, you're better off with High Armory most of the time, right? Okay, so next tactic is hunting cabin spam. As you can see, I have 4 hunting cabins around 1 woodline. So these cabins will provide you free gold, essentially. If you have enough wood, you just go and make a lot of cabins. You need to make cabins near different woodlines, because one tree can only buff 1 cabin. But if you're playing High Trade House, both cabins and High Trade House can use the same tree, it's okay, right? So if you have High Trade House right here, these cabins will still work. When do you want to use this? When you have a lot of wood and you can spend it to develop your economy. For example, late game. Usually you don't do it before Imperial, before minute 25 or something, right? And your opponent of course can counter it by just keeping up the pressure. If you're constantly attacking, if you're constantly being attacked, you're forced to spend your resources on necessities, like on army, on military upgrades. You simply will not have extra wood for this. But if you have resources, of course, do it. Free gold is never bad. Next tactic is my favorite, layered palisades or double walls, or multi-layered, like whatever you want to call them. Just make a lot of layers, 2, 3, 4, etc. You can see many pro players started to adopt this. For example, I've seen last game VM vs Beastie, VM did this as English, so it's not only Rus exclusive, right? It's annoying to break, it's difficult to break, it's a good protection from raids. Yeah, you use this when you just want to consolidate your position. So it's not necessarily a small opening like this. You can make a big wall across the map, you can make a lot of layers, it's going to just be better. So you only want to do this, and this is important, only want to do this if you have enough wood. If you don't have enough resources, if you don't have enough military, you cannot do this because you will simply die. Die to raids, because these walls can be broken, right? You're not invincible. only when you have you float like 2, maybe 3,000 wood in Imperial, then you're okay with doing this. Or maybe when it's a small opening and you just want to protect your base, right? It is countered by actually spamming towers or keeps, because if your opponent places a keep like this, you cannot really build these walls, right? If he places a tower here with sprinkled and sends like 15 horsemen on man-at-arms or a ram and breaks this, it's difficult for you to rebuild this. You need to break the tower first. So yeah, be careful, watch out for towers and enemy keeps. Try to break them, try to deny them. Try to maybe place your own towers or keeps to prevent them from being built. Also, if your opponent is heavily investing into melee raids, for example 14 or 50 on a Geisha or horseman, these walls will also go down, so you will need to pull some units to protect them. Okay, the last tactic I want to talk about is Palisade crawling. This is actually my favorite. So how do you do this? Like in this picture, you pull some villagers, again, when you have enough economy, right? You don't want to do this too early, you don't want to do this before Imperial. But when you are Imperial and you have a lot of economy, then the question is, why do you have a lot of economy? If you have thousands of resources and you're not wasting them, you better put them to work, right? So how can you use your 5000 wood that you have in your storage to punish your opponent, to attack your opponent? You can of course make some ramps, but you also can make this. What is this? So you make a lot of compartments. Here I call them redouts, right? So I believe this is a term for military engineering. You make these things so your units and your siege can't hide inside. You connect them with each other, you connect them with golden mines, with wood lines, you make some towers, and you also make something for your villagers to do inside. So these villagers, they come here, they build this, then they build this layer, next layer, and they stay here collecting wood. They don't go away, they just stay here so they can repair siege, they can repair these walls, and they can make new ones. So you make a lot of стрельцы, a lot of siege, you can keep pushing. You can keep breaking enemy structures, you can make this actually right near enemy landmarks. So when you have, for example, trebuchets or bombards, you break another set of enemy buildings or enemy keep or enemy tower, you make another segment, right here for example, and you make another tower and you start collecting this gold. So you just progress, you just move forward, you isolate your units and you protect your siege and your стрельцы. Because counter to стрельцы plus siege is usually just mass horsemen, mass man-at-arms, maybe Honorable Geisha, Lance-Knecht, something like this. But if you make this, your siege or стрельцы will make short work of any melee units that try to attack you, right? Okay, so how to counter it? In my experience, only two effective counters to this are mass siege, meaning mass siege, a lot of siege, right? Like 8 springles, 10 springles or culverins to break your siege. And if you have no siege inside these fortifications, your opponent can use his siege to break your fortifications, to go inside and to just push you. It will still take your opponent some time to push you all the way through these walls, but he will do it, right? You don't want to lose siege battle in this case. So another scenario when this can be bad is when your opponent is massively investing into raiding you. So if you see maybe 15 palace guards running over there or 20 or 30 and he leads some villagers and tries to place some keep in your back rank, right? Attacking your gold, going to your base, you don't want to allow this. You can try maybe to push anyway and finish the game, but I would say it's more secure to send your army to counter the raid. Of course you will lose maybe this layer, but you will restore it eventually. You don't want to be destroyed by raids when you do this, so this is my point. Okay, so next let us get to matchups. I am discussing all 16 matchups and it's already quite a long guide. I will try to briefly cover each matchup. Usually you want to situationally use the tactics I discussed above, but there are also some general strategy tips for each matchup. Okay, so we'll start with English. I will be talking about civilization strengths. So strengths I'm talking about is for this civilization, right? Weaknesses also for this civilization, specific to this matchup, so English versus Rus. And also some tips what you want to do when you play Rus. Okay, so strengths is network of castles, obviously, very powerful. H4 economy because of farms and unique units. Vanguard units, all of them are broken. Trebuchets AoE is very strong. Longbows are kinda okay. Man-at-arms also have more armor, are more quickly produced. Just English have some of most amazing units in the game. Okay, so weaknesses is English has slow economy in H2 or 3, so their Abbey of Kings, I think, yeah, they get free king in H2. So it somewhat helped them with this, because now they can attack your economy and slow you down as well, but usually you will have stronger eco than English, right? So also English have no wood bonuses, which means late game you basically can isolate their wood and they will have a bad time. Also they rely too much on network of castles to win fights. So what do you do against English? You try to grab relics. Because of their slower economy, usually you should be able to grab at least 3 relics, maybe 4 or 5 some cases. You should avoid fighting under network of castles, except for cases when it's clearly in your favor, right? If you have more siege, more streltsy, you can just destroy English opponents, then you can fight under network of castles, but usually your rule is to destroy their towers, don't let them get network of castles, or just not fight them under network of castles, like make keeps, make towers, isolate resources, try to raid them, but do not fight them under network of castles, it's very bad. And my personal favorite strategy against English is just playing fast castle plus 2 town center, of course, plus fast imperial and just making streltsy plus bombard, 3 bombers for example. You get your university, you get your chemistry upgrade, and English we usually try to play Berkshire. Berkshire is very strong when not countered, but you counter this by making these bombards, taking unique bombard upgrade. Berkshire just falls in like 9 shots when you have chemistry, when you have bombard upgrade, and your streltsy can kill anything else. Okay, so in my opinion this is a good matchup for Rus. Next is French. French has some knights, has very strong arbaletiers, and has red keeping placements. So knights are important because they can raid you in feudal and they can counter your raids in feudal, so you should be very careful with French. French weaknesses though are that their food is very limited, and their economy is also quite weaker than yours, initially at least, and they rely on traders in late game to give them extra resources. It's one of their 2 eco bonuses, their traders and their cheaper units from archery ranges and stables. Okay, so tips when playing against French: if they play 2 town centers you can usually push, maybe push in H3, maybe if they're exposed push in H2, because they're struggling for food, you'll be stronger usually. If they play 1 town center, you just want to defend yourself, not lose anything to raids. It's very important, don't lose villagers to French raids, or you will lose. So just defend and then get relics, at least some of them, then just try to push them. You'll have advantage, economic advantage, very strong. So just remember your economy is better if you didn't make any mistakes, and try late game to cut off French from resources. So try to isolate their markets so they cannot trade, try to isolate wood, isolate gold, it's going to be a good game for you, yeah? So in late game you just feel much more comfortable than French. Okay, so next, Joan of Arc. I think it's very similar to French. I'm just going to say that their food situation is quite a bit better, because they do not have faster villager production, and they have food discount from Joan of Arc, right? Also, it's a bit more dangerous than French in H2 because of Jeanne d'Arc. If you get into a lot of fights with her and she gets to level 3, it is a massive power spike for Joan of Arc. So I would suggest just playing defensively, because if Joan of Arc cannot do damage, then your economy is simply stronger, right? Yeah, your economy is still better, and you still need to cut her off from resources. Just try to play a slow game, don't rush it, don't get into a lot of bad fights, and you'll be fine. Okay, next is HRE. I think HRE is very intensive matchup. It's good for Rus, but it's very intensive. You need to be, what do I say, very concentrated for this, right? HRE is strong because of Aachen Chapel, which provides them very strong early economy. They have a lot of age-up power spikes, for example, H3 they get Regnits and massive value from relics. H4 Swabia is just broken, it gives them 3 town centers and cheaper villages. Also H4 or even H3, imagine HRE, if they have 3 relics or 4 relics or god forbid 5 relics, they just going to make bombard towers, a lot of farms, just play very defensively. It's going to be very difficult to pull them. I think weaknesses, main 2 weaknesses in this matchup of HRE are they're bad if you manage to deny them some relics, because then they're just miserable, they don't have any gold. And if you push them in H3, if you have really good timing and they play 1 town center, you can inflict a lot of damage, maybe you can even finish the game. So my tips would be to try to deny as many relics as possible. It doesn't mean that you need to tell yourself either I get 4 relics or I just lose, but you just need to play depending on situation. If you see you can isolate 3 relics, that's very good. Don't try to go for 4 if you are not sure you can do it, right? You can wall relics with palisades and then use spearmen or use crossbowmen to get these relics. You just need to be very proactive with relics, you need to try to control them. You cannot let HRE have relics, right? Okay, so you also develop your economy and damage them at the same time, which means you want to play 2 town centers, but you also want to use your knights or horse archers to harass HRE. It's very important, and you don't want to lose your economy. You want to slowly accumulate advantage, slowly develop your economy. And also you should not be afraid of playing H4 against HRE. If you cannot kill them in H3, if you can only inflict some damage, that's fine. Just go H4, consolidate your position, make palisade walls, make some towers or keeps, make streltsy, make siege, and try to beat them economically. Even if HRE have 3 relics, it's still winnable for you. There's nothing terrible about this, your hunting cabins compensate this disadvantage, so it's really fine. Okay, OOTD, I will not talk too much about OOTD, essentially they're almost the same as HRE, so all of the above applies, but there are 2 important distinctions. First is OOTD eco, especially in feudal age, is worse, which means they are more susceptible to damage. You can try to finish the game in feudal age or in castle age by just pushing them very aggressively. Second is OOTD have very dangerous knights and lansknechts, maybe even crossbows, because their knights, if you try to counter their knights with your knights or with your horse archers or even spearmen, their knights are very difficult to kill, they have more HP, so they can bring them back, heal them up with monks and just attack you again, so you should be very careful about this. Lansknechts just very tanky in my opinion, so you should not lose your melee units against them. Just snipe them carefully with crossbows or archers, ideally with archers, and try not to lose your units. Yeah, so it should be a simpler game against OOTD. Against Abbasids, their economy is strong if you don't damage them, they have strong units in H3, so Abbasids are kinda slow, right? So their strength is that they can slowly develop their economy and it's very smooth for them, where all transitions are really easy, but also it's kind of slowish. It's not as bad as French, for example, but it's still not as quick as Rus. Actually, you can get to castle faster than Abbasid and you can get relics faster than Abbasid if you do everything correctly. You can also damage them in H2. For example, Abbasids is one of civilizations that I would suggest playing 1 town center if you see that their 2nd town center is in a bad position. You can do 1 town center all in. Or maybe you can even try to do feudal aggression in 2 town center scenario, right? You go 2 town centers yourself, you try to damage them. So tips I will give, yeah, try to push in H2, but only in cases when you see you can do some damage. If you push H2 and Abbasid is in a good position, for example town center is difficult to attack, just don't do it, you'll just lose. Okay, try to grab relics because it's a massive advantage. Your fast Imperial is also quite good against Abbasids in my opinion, because Abbasids are slow to go Imperial, they like to stay H3, they like to go Gulams, archers, maybe crossbowmen, and if you go H4, You get streltsy, you get siege, that's all you need. Your springles will get upgrade and they will kill any siege Abbasid tries to make. So I would suggest even going Spassky Tower to protect yourself. One thing you need to be beware of when playing against Abbasid is camels. They have two types of camels. First of all is Camel Archer, which they can get in H2. It's kind of expensive, almost like a knight, but it's fast and it can even kill your knights and kill spearmen. So be careful with Abbasid because they can try to raid you using Camel Archers. Second is Camel Rider, yeah, it's called Camel Rider. It's available in H3. They can also get 2 Camel Riders for free when they go H3 with military wing. So you should be very careful with your knights. It doesn't mean you cannot play knights, right? You can do some knight damage in H2, for example. 1 or 2 knights or even 3 knights, right? Just to attack them, try to harass Woodline or Gold. But you do not want to use knight as your primary unit or horseman, because you will get demolished. Maybe H4, actually H4 mass horseman plus horse archer is not that bad, but it's only for H4, because H4 you use your knights, horsemen and horse archers as tanking unit. Horsemen, of course, only horsemen. Okay, so next is Ayyubid. It's very different from Abbasid, and I think Ayyubids might be one of few better matchups. Because Ayyubids will always play fast castle and 8 extra villagers, and they will have very strong push in H3. And actually their monks are better at getting relics than your monks, because they are cheaper, right? And also their camels. So Ayyubid weaknesses is that if you can survive basically H3, you can survive H3 push, then you are good, right? Because the H4 is not as good as Abbasid H4 even, and they have a lot of food issues after they try to push you and they cannot do it, so they need to go farms and they need to go town center, so it's very bad for them. My tips would be don't try to get all relics against Ayyubid, it's not as critical as HRE, and your primary objective should be to survive and not lose anything to their raids. Maybe even try to raid them, right? You need to focus on defense. It's very important. You cannot be losing any buildings, you cannot be losing any villagers, or they will just finish the game. So just focus on army compositions, focus on siege, focus on what they're doing, try to survive. And if you survive, right, you can just attack them, your economy will be better because you have 2 town centers, even if they have relics, that's okay. And maybe make some defensive farms, if you can't go deer, you can go boars, right? And just attack them, you will be better, you will inflict heavy damage, you most likely will win. So you just need not to die to their fast castle push. Okay, next matchup is Delhi, it's more straightforward. Delhi are strong at pushing feudal age, also they can capture sacred sites, they can force win condition, and they can also make a lot of keeps in H3. But they also have some weaknesses. For example, if you survive about 10 minutes, they will need to go out on the map to get food. They will need to get on deer, on berries. Also, they're quite susceptible to raids because of this actually. Delhi usually don't like to invest much in defense for some reason. And also their upgrades are really slow when they go H3, H4. So how to exploit this, I would say it's very straightforward. You make knights to decap sacred sites, to raid their food. Almost always you make knights, right? 2 town centers knights. Sometimes you can play 1 town center, but in my opinion it's better to play 2 town centers. Just be very careful. Okay, so also if you play long feudal and you have both a lot of archers and knights, maybe you have a lot of knights, just age up, right? If you can age up, you can upgrade your archers, it's auto win, because Delhi will not have archer upgrades for 2 minutes at least, and because of slow upgrades. And similar fashion, if you're playing long castle, and of course long castle you will have siege, you will have some mangonels, some springles, maybe some trebuchets. You can just go H4. If you go H4, you have this this upgrade for springles called roller shutter triggers, I think. Yeah, so it gives your springles 2 more range, and you guess what, Delhi cannot get it as quickly as you can. So you get this upgrade, you push your Springles, kill all siege Delhi has, and it's quite easy to finish the game. Okay, so Chinese can push you with Dugenyu, Zhugenyu, Chukanyu in H2. Their economy is very strong if you cannot do any damage, and they can raid you with Fire Lancers and Palace Guards, and their siege, including Springles, has more HP because of their landmark. Also Nesto Bisa kind of good, so Chinese have a wide range of bonuses. Also they have a lot of weaknesses, they have some issues with food before they transition to farms. They rely on siege too much, because in a straight fight there is not so many bonuses for Chinese. Their siege is most significant bonus. And they kind of sluggish, you know, because they need imperial officials. When you're raiding you can kill them quite easily, and it's also quite common to see Chinese mining one gold mine with 40 villagers, because it's the efficient way because of imperial official. Okay, so also granaries. You need a lot of space to make granaries, so usually it can be easy to raid, it can be easy to attack, it can be a weak spot for Chinese. My tips would be to try harassing them with knights in H2 and with horse archers with horse archers in H3, right? Because they're susceptible to raids somewhat. Also try to grab relics and just go fast imperial. Anyway, that's what I usually do. It doesn't mean you need to go imperial as soon as possible. Of course you can make some keeps, some man-at-arms, crossbows, siege in H3, but you don't want to stay H3 too long. Usually you want to go H4 and get your unique siege upgrades, maybe stone walls. You need to get streltsy, then you just can isolate them from resources. When you cut Chinese off from gold, from wood, you're feeling much better. Their economy will be about the same as yours. They will have kind of strong siege, good Great Wall Gatehouse, right, which is like a keep but much better. But I still think it's okay for Rus. I think you can accumulate your advantage and just beat them in Imperial. At least that's my opinion. Okay, Zhu Xi would be about the same as Chinese. I would say their Zhugenyu push is stronger, because they do not need to play Song Dynasty to get Zhugenyu, so it's 600 resources cheaper. Also I think their age ups are much cheaper. Yeah, so sometimes they will play fast castle, but it's not often, and if they do this, just play your usual strategy, you'll be fine. Like you're playing against Ayyubids, but weaker Ayyubids. So I would suggest just being careful with 2 town centers, because if you make an exposed second town center, they can kill you. They can make mass Dugenyu, push you, and it will be game over. So you need to counter them with archers and knights and horsemen, depending on situation, and try not to die basically. Pull some villagers, it depends on what they do, right? Other than this, it's same as Chinese, I would say. Against Mongols, Mongols rely on trade, so it is their strength, because traders are very strong, but also they're very weak, because they're susceptible to trader damage, right? They also have kind of knights in feudal age, Keshiks, which are a bit weaker, and they have a strong H3 Kurultai push with mass archers, mass crossbowmen. It can be very strong. But they are very easy to raid, because they don't have any access to walls or keeps. So basically I would suggest exploiting this, trying to raid them at any opportunity, for example, especially trade. And H3 you have horse archers are also working very well against Mongols. At some point you will need to raid their pastures, because almost all Mongolian players they're placing a lot of pastures around their main town center, so you know that if they're not collecting deer, not collecting berries, you just go with some units, some cavalry under town center. It's going to be about 40 villagers around there, and it's very painful for them basically. So yeah, you also want to break their towers, especially when they're trying to push you. And just get a trebuchet, it will make short work of any towers, and get some siege and stop their Kurultai push. and you're fine after this. Just consolidate your position, get some resources, raid them, you'll be fine. Against Ottomans, you should be careful because they have a lot of military schools. Usually you cannot deny their military schools unless you're playing very aggressively. So they will try to push you with a lot of free units. Also they have Janissaries, which makes it difficult to play cavalry. So knights, horsemen or horse archers are all going to be not great against them. Actually, fun fact, it's kind of interesting, I tested horse archers against Janissaries. As you know, Janissaries do 2 times as much damage to cavalry, but also they take 50% more damage from ranged attacks. And actually, if you micro them well, horse archers can defeat Janissaries on equal cost, right? But it is very micro intensive, and I would not suggest in most cases playing horse archers against Ottomans. So what are their weaknesses? Weaknesses is that Ottoman eco is kind of weak, even when you take into account military schools, it's still weaker. And what's bad about military schools? That they cannot use military schools to boost their economy, right? What do I mean by this? For example, let's assume you're playing HRE, you have Aachen Chapel gives you 40% more resource collection, right? You can use this to make second town center, you can use this to make farms and to go to Swabia, which will boost you even further, right? So you use your investment to make more investments. It's compounded percentages or something like this. But when you're playing Ottomans, you just get free units, all you can do with free units is attack. You cannot like exchange units into resources and get more eco, right? So if you can deny their aggression, which they rely on a lot, you should be absolutely fine, right? My tips would be to avoid making cavalry, but one knight feudal is okay, obviously, if you can harass them. There are some positions, by the way, when you just cannot harass Ottomans. For example, they are playing 2 town centers, second town center on gold, woodline under first town center, just impossible to raid, right? And h3 will be too late because of Janissaries. So man-at-arms plus crossbow plus spearman, if they go spiky or knights in h3, is a good composition against them. Plus siege maybe, yeah, because they have 3 mangonels, so you need siege anyway. You need springles, and once you made springles you can also add mangonels, so it goes like this. Also, I did not write it here, but I would not suggest attacking Ottoman h3 in most cases. If you see you cannot inflict damage, you can just go h4. And in h4 you should be much better with siege and Streltsy at spearman. I know that great bombers are considered very strong, and of course they're strong because if your springles kill opponent springles and vice versa, so you both don't have springles and Ottomans have great bombers, then it's very bad for you, right? But at the same time I would say that Ottomans can be susceptible to raids, and your economy will be better than Ottomans in h4, and your Streltsy will be better, and you have springles which shoot a little bit further. So usually you can go just mass springles with discount and go mangonels, and you can just beat Ottomans, basically. You can deny their great bombers, you can beat the springles, so I wouldn't say it's really bad for Rus. I know it's kind of arguable for many people, but personally I would feel fine against Ottomans in Imperial. Yeah, but if you don't feel fine in Imperial, just push them in h3 with this composition. That's my suggestion anyway. Okay, so Malians, kind of a scary matchup for me, but actually it's fine. Malians are strong because they have very strong cow plus mines economy, they get a lot of free wood, a lot of free gold, and these are passive resources, so they do not need to go on the map for food, right? They can get some free food from cows, and maybe they will need at some point to make farms or get some deer, but usually it's still fine for them, right? And using these bonuses they will try to make a very big mass of units in h3 and just to finish the game. But also their weaknesses are that their economy is going to be weaker after minute 20 maybe, if you survive, right? So if you survive their push, you're very good, you're feeling very well. And in h2 also you can actually damage Malians, right? So you can try to play like you're playing Delhi, because you also have eco bonuses. Your eco bonuses are very good. Just go Golden Gate, for example, maybe go Kremlin if you want to push with militia. Play knights, play horsemen, play archer, and just try to attack. So that's kind of a risky strategy, right? But this risky strategy usually works against most players anyway. But you should do this depending on the map. Not every map is good for aggression against Malians. Usually you just make 2 town centers and you make some early farms, because often your deer or your boar are exposed. If they're exposed, Malians will punish you for this. You should try to collect your boar or your deer, but if you cannot do this, as I shown in my game against Malians, it's fine to make farms. What you cannot be doing is you cannot be losing any villagers to raids, because once you start losing villagers, it's all over. You will just get pushed, because Malians will not run out of food, they will not run out of gold, they will keep being aggressive and just finishing the game. Usually I would suggest going Spearman plus Archer. So if you go Spearman plus Archer, you basically counter their only armored unit, which is Sofa, and Archers will counter Musafadi warriors, which they usually play. So how can they respond? They can play Javelin Thrower or Archer, in which case you first of all hide behind your fortifications, second you get Mangonels. Mangonels work very well. Maybe you get some Knights, but Spear plus Archer usually counters a very popular Malian composition, which is Sofa plus Musafadi. Yeah, and as I said, sometimes you can play 1 town center all-in, but it's very situational. Okay, Byzantines is a very bad matchup, I think, but it's still playable. So Byzantines are strong because they have a lot of mercenaries, which are built from olive oil, so it's, again, passive resource generation, very strong. They have very good farms, they have great eco because of cisterns and because of olive oil. And their Limitanai actually can tank a lot of ranged attacks, especially from crossbowmen. They are very good against crossbowmen. Byzantines are also, I wouldn't say they have weaknesses, right? But they can be punished in feudal age if their barriers are exposed. So if we were playing Mongols, it would be okay for us because we could tower rush their barriers. But we're playing Rus. We cannot reliably tower rush Byzantines. We can be aggressive, we can play 1 town center aggression, 2 town center aggression, but not always. And also Byzantines can be outfarmed. They have cisterns, so cisterns are a strong economic bonus, but they have a lot of farms. But if you can defend from Byzantine aggression, if you can play eco, it is okay for you. So to beat Byzantines, they still have a massive advantage because of mercenaries. But you have 3 general tips you can use to try to fight Byzantines. First of all, you cannot be losing any fights. Once you lost a fight, it's like playing against Malians. You lose a fight and they're going to swarm you with infinite units and it's just over. So pick your fights, play defensively if you need to, try to maybe raid them while playing defensive yourself. Second is you should use all chances to damage them, because if you do not damage them, it's like with HRE, they will just all overwhelm you. So you need to try to raid them, maybe with knights, maybe with Scourge Archers. Then if you see that you won a fight and you're stronger, you can push them. Yeah, and another tip is that your H4 works better against them than your H3, because H3 you have basically no bonuses, H4 you have Still C, you have cheaper siege, it's just better, right? So if you play a lot of Streltsy, you're feeling, basically you're feeling fine. You just capture resources, capture wood lines, capture gold, sooner or later it starts to get better for you. So just try not to die, try not to lose fights and try to damage them, and you'll be okay, more or less. Against Japanese, Japanese have strong fast castle, because of free monks, because of knights. They have Yorishiro, which gives them triple knight production, meaning that stable produces 3 times as quick. They can also play not mass knights, but mass Onamusha for example, but usually they play mass knights. They also have a strong melee unit composition, samurai are amazing, Onabugeishi are amazing, and they can push you with Ozutsu in H4. So you should be careful, you should not rely too much on keeps or towers against them, because of Ozutsu. However, their economy is not really the best, It is good, but it's not the best. You can out-farm them if you don't get any damage. They have kind of a rough transition to farms and to town centers, and they cannot consolidate their position in H3 with keeps. So you should not lose any fights against Japanese knights. It's very important because Japanese knights are very strong. They can even beat your spearmen. So you need to only fight them when you're absolutely sure that you have advantage. And you should be on top of their army compositions with your counters. If you see them playing knights then on obligation, which is often the case, you need to transition into spearman plus archer plus maybe, I don't know, some crossbow, some man-at-arms. Maybe you can just play knights plus archer, but it is very situational, you need to be careful. You should not, like in case with Ayyubids, try to get all relics, because your priority is simply to not die, not take any damage, not lose your army. You need to survive. And when you're secure finally, just capture resources, maybe try to attack them, although it is not always simple because of their town center upgrades. It shoots quite well. But you can try to capture gold mines, you can deny their towers, deny their aggressive town centers, just palisade all over the place, go h4, make civs, you'll be fine. It's kind of intensive matchup, but if you don't take any damage, you'll be fine. And last matchup is Rus versus Rus, so I will still outline strengths and weaknesses. Against Rus, you should remember they have strong economy, strong raiding capabilities and strong imperial. So these are three major points you and your opponent are playing around. Weaknesses are that your eco bonus at the start is limited, so your deer on your board will run out, they are limited. Your... how do I say this? Bounty, of course, bounty is spent very quickly. Basically, you need to choose how you spend your resources as Rus, and this is very important. Also, H3 is not very strong for Rus, so you should aim to not stay H3 too long, in my opinion, in this matchup. My tips would be to counter knights and horse archers, and also try to make them. How do you do this? You make palisades, you try not to lose your villagers, you try to inflict some raiding damage. There is a lot of raiding opportunities usually against Rus, despite Kremlin, right? Because they'll get to deer, they'll get to boar, at some point they'll try to make an unprotected palisade. You can do at least some damage, and you can of course fight for relics with knights and horse archers. I would suggest maximizing ecolit, for example, maybe making your farms a little bit earlier is good, getting upgrades is okay, just placing a keep on big gold so your opponent can get it also can be good. And I would suggest going fast Imperial, because when you go to Imperial as Rus first, you can start making stealthy, you can get your unique upgrades, you can even place Pascha on a good position to deny it from your opponent. So this matchup is all about timing, it's all about maximizing little things. Okay, so these were all 16 matchups. Now we're almost done here. I just want to talk briefly about water maps. So game obviously is very different for water maps or hybrid maps, because it's all about fishing bots on these maps, and you cannot be relying on same strategies as we discussed before and same tactics. Some of them can be used in these games as well, actually most of them can be used, but game is very fishing economy centered, you know. Rus is very good at water hybrid maps, and there are some general tips I would give you. For example, your build order, if you can attack your opponent's water, you make 2 fishing boats, then you just transition to H2 as soon as possible, and you can actually convert your fishing boat into galley. So you swim while it's still a fishing boat to your opponent's fish, you mine their fish, because you don't need to bring it to your dock. Then, once you're aged up, you just convert your fishing boat into galley, and you start attacking their fishing eco. So it's very strong aggression. You can also use Kremlin militia to damage your opponent's gold, for example, or wood. Because on many maps like Holy Island, you can just run to opponent's spawn and inflict some damage. They only cost about 55 food, so it's kind of cheap. Can also try to do some damage with feudal knights, forcing your opponent to react. And you need to be careful while managing your demolition ships, because they're quite big, they're easier to spot, they're easier to snipe with arrow ships. Actually, I'm not sure they're easier to snipe with arrow ships, but they're definitely easier to spot. so it's a big mind game. Okay, I don't want to talk too much about other maps, because I'm not very proficient at them, but usually you just want to be aware of the fact that you cannot lose water. You need to have some fishing eco. Okay. So let's try to conclude this guide. I would like to finish by saying that if you want to get better with rules or maybe with any other civ, you can think about same things as I discussed above. So you need to get a grasp of strategies for civilization you're trying to learn, meaning that you have to just understand what your general plan is. Like you want to all in H2, or you want to go Imperial, or you want to just slowly accumulate advantage. For example, you can do all these things with English, and you need to just do one strategy at a time. Get proficient with it, and then try others. Once you selected your strategy, it's all about tactics, really. You need to learn new tactics, so for example, if you don't know how to raid, you need to learn how to raid, because there will be some moments when your opponent is playing very greedily, but doesn't have enough defenses, so you will need to raid him. Or he's trying to attack you and you need to raid him to distract him. Things like this. Second is you can learn how to execute your tactics better. For example, you know how to play 2-town century fast castle, but you don't know how to do it optimally. So you keep sending maybe too many villagers on wood, or you get your upgrades when you're going fast castle, even though you don't want to do this actually before you started aging up, because your opponent is going to get monks faster, etc. So yeah, and third thing about tactics is that you need to know when to apply them. Even if you know a lot of tactics, even if you can execute each one of them well, you need to know when is the time for each tactic. So when should you raid? When should you go fast castle? Things like this. So the more proficient you get with this, the better you get at the game. Of course, it is much more complicated, there are micro aspects, but you can like make a mental map of this, right? Essentially, what we do when we play, we just use different tactics, we make decisions in real time which tactics would we like to do, and we utilize them. Okay, so it's been quite a long guide, I think. I'm kind of tired after recording this, so I hope it was useful for you. So thanks for watching. If you have any further questions, just ask in the comments, I'll try to comment. Okay, thanks.